So last week we talked about Harvest, Lombiq. Oh, it was just about the nicknames, or nicknames, brandy names. Demos from Zoltan about nothing interesting. Last week, I remember. I don't remember what it was.
Field version display.
What?
The field version display on the admin UI for Chatbot.
Thank you. We talked about translation issues and a link to the discussion, I believe. No, a link to the bug. Okay, today. Demos?
I will demo the Orchard Core Commerce MVP.
Other demo? So if you want to know who's working at Lombiq, you look for A with the acute accent. So Victoria, David, Milan has one, Gabor has one. Okay, that's how you know that they work at Lombiq. Demos, topics.
I think we should go 0.6. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here again to talk about the Harvest update. Yeah, sorry.
What? Yeah,
sorry
Harvest.
again.
Okay. Yeah, 1.6 is not again. That's the issue. That we should have talked about it before. Okay, demos, topics, status first. So let's go in order because we care about order. Orchard. One. It's usually there. I don't get it. It's there. What did we merge? For 17, we merged that. Check the culture is supported. So I think an ref or something like that. No, just checking if the culture is supported before accepting the culture. Orchard 1, Orchard core. What do we have since last week? This one, short theory. Don't normalize user.RoleNames as before.
Yeah, this file has no change. It's a next file that has a change.
Oh, it has a change, and that's a change here.
Because
Because
identical.
well, that's weird. Why?
He went down through the chain of making other names to, well, yeah, but he went down to making the administrator as capitalized or normalized. But then we realized that old instances do not store the name as normalized as we expected. So he had to revert this back. But if you look at the second file change, you'll notice, you see how we went down the path of storing the normalized name, but that would have been a big breaking change. So we had to revert back to role name, a regular role name.
Okay. Enhance user management by introducing list, edit, assign, and delete permissions. Now users can manage permissions. It's like to say that, recursive permissions, because to manage permissions, you need permissions to manage permissions.
We have a lot more permissions around the user. We have list users, edit users, assign user to a role, delete the user permission. So we had much more permissions. Yeah.
It's a lot of permissions. The issue with permissions, it's like any rule, like offsides. If there were no offsides, there will not be offside issues, right? With permissions, if there were no permissions, there will not be security issues because there is no security. But now, by adding more security, we hope all the security boundaries are respected. You see, but good feature. Fix EventId syntax in NLog.config. .id. Okay, this has changed. Good catch. Let's assume that Sultan Mate is working at Lombiq because he's got an accent on the A. BenchmarkDotNet 0.13.4. Why not? Azure.Identity 181. Azure Sanitizer, Refactor GoogleAuthenticationService. Refactor. So just okay. Why would you use an interface for that? Why would you use an interface for that? Why? Bring localizer, still why would you do that? So validation, that returns no nice validation result, okay. Still, you don't need an interface for that. So Isham, if you are watching the thing, there was no interface before, and you don't need an interface after. You can register this service directly. By the way, I don't see it being registered otherwise. So now I'm concerned. There's a new interface, which I think is not necessary. It's only used to implement there, which proves that it's not necessary. And I don't see the registration updated, which proves that you can register the Google configuration, the Google authentication service directly without exposing it as an interface. So I don't think this is necessary. You can remove the interface and you can remove the interface, in my opinion. Okay, Facebook validate settings shouldn't be async. Or maybe the goal was to be consistent with the other things, but then I will say the same thing, which is, why do we have an Facebook service?
You would think that the options would be stored as options, not as a, like, why would we have, it looks like the interface is like a store for the settings. Shouldn't we be just using
why?
Like options?
Oh, I see what you mean. So you mean the service itself is just get settings and update settings. That's what you mean. So if I look at the service
it looks
itself,
like it's a store for the options. I mean, shouldn't it be just using options for those things? instead of having an interface. I mean, options.
No, because options won't let you store something. But if you say just state, so maybe it's just so maybe this class is used by some other service that needs a way to read and write settings. So that's why there is a different class that offers the service. The fact that there is an interface here is complexifying, like adding some ambiguity about what is this thing and what it does and how it's used. If I look at Facebook service,
I mean, just looking at it from outside without looking at the code, I would expect the settings to be part of the site settings. And if it is, then we should be able to configure it just like we configure everything else with options. But I mean,
you see section display pro. So no, this is the DTO that is containing the settings, and it's not
just site settings.
Section display. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
the section in the site settings.
There is a UI.
In iSite.
Yes, but there is a UI. So
yeah, but the UI
so you need something.
ends up storing. Correct. It ends up storing it in the site settings.
Yes.
So yeah, when the configuration is updated, that would update the iSite, the site settings. So you should be able to retrieve that information from the site settings. So we wouldn't need an interface to update the Facebook settings because that is part of the UI.
When you say interface, you mean
the interface that you saw earlier.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need this interface is completely useless.
Right, that's
what I'm saying. You can remove it from the iGoogle. Then I saw the one in iFacebook. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's just to provide consistency, and which I said it's providing consistency, but in the first place, there should not be an iFacebook settings. It's completely useless because this is in this case, a DTO.
Exactly.
And we just need a DTO. So
I think we agree.
Yeah. But then the class itself. Settings. Oh, okay, this is just a helper to load the site settings and to return this object. So, which I don't think is necessary because there is already, because we expect people to actually call this code directly. So yeah, it's like over engineering times 2. This Facebook service might not be necessary.
Agree.
We just need the Facebook settings. And then there is an interface for something that is not necessary. And the interface is not even used. So that's 2 levels of over engineering in this case. Okay, yeah. Append quality parameter after format parameter. Yeah, so this issue because the image sharp processors that will resize, change the format, change the quality, have to be done in a specific order, or you might negate one of the commands. So in this case, the format is supposed to be applied before the quality. If you apply the quality and then you apply the format, then you lose the quality that you found. That's what Michael Schiller is implementing here, or is fixing. See moving quality after the format. Prevent the owner editor driver from throwing exception when a user is deleted. This can be null because the user is not found. So now there is a check. Make notifications module publicly available.
Yeah, the notification feature, if you install Orchard core in your own project outside of Orchard, and it wouldn't be found because it wasn't like in the third file down the or fourth line, you'll see the change that actually fixed the issue. So
The project reference.
yeah, project reference. Yep.
Okay.
On the line.
Yeah, you need to add it to the main CS project, otherwise you don't see it.
Well, it
So when you
was,
say
but it didn't have the private attribute.
assets. Okay.
Yeah, so we added that the private assets attribute.
Fix tenant removal, JSON. Okay. Documentation fix. Thank you, Stoyan. And I'm like, who's Stoyan? And now I know because he's a new contributor. Down, make decimal notification deeper on UI. Update localization already. Okay, what's happening? This tool. Oh, we moved. Oh no. They moved PO extractor to Orchard Core country. Okay. I know we talked about moving it to Orchard Core, to Orchard CMS, but now it's in the Orchard Core country. Okay. Better. Job. Oh, good. All good questions, comments. David, demo, please. And thank you.
Right. Can you see the screen?
Yes, maybe zoom a little bit. It's almost good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Will not be on this page for long anyway. So we have recently released, well, last week, finally the 1.0 version with like the minimum features that we think are needed for this. So you can finally access it from there. Also some updates on the documentation, and these are basically the key features like inventory management, promotions, some tax features, payments via Stripe, and let me see. So that it comes in the different features in the commerce module. This is especially relevant because some of them are like enabled. Some of the features like taxation has different parts that there's a basic one for just local taxing, and there's custom tax rates for international, and you have to enable it to override the base feature. And yeah, we have separate permission, so you can decide if the if you want a separate role for who can check out, or anonymous checkout, or whatever you need. And where's it? Go back here. So in terms of taxation, the basic one is really just you set a gross price. For example, here in Hungary, we have this atrocious 27%. Oh, sorry, not here. Yeah. The tax rate, VAT. So you set this to 12.7, for example, and save. Then this updates the net price, and this will actually appear here. Also, we have simple inventory management, which is just you select a number, and during checkout it gets reduced, and you can set how much can be ordered. So If you like only want to allow bulk ordering, then you set this to 10 or whatever. And else, oh yeah, you can have discounts. I will show that in a bit. But first, so actually, let's order one more. And then the email is get for the username, but you have to fill these out. You can provide separate address or not, and you can also save these. Doesn't matter. So this is of course just demo, but we have already shown this in a previous meeting. So you can see that it added the tax amount, and it actually reduced the inventory from 4 to 2. And we can also add like discounts if we want, which looks like can use percentage or a fixed amount, for example. I don't know. Let's give a good, nice discount, and then set it so I don't know. It should be available now. Set a future period. Right. And here as well, we can set a minimum and maximum. So in case you wanted to limit the discount to some kind of amount. And now it gets updated. And of course, all of these can be overridden with custom templates. So it can be tailored to the size design. What else? So since we selected to save, it saved the address. Unfortunately, the phone number is not saved, but we didn't really have an occasion for customizing that yet. But what we can do is if we go to this user addresses page, then you can actually just edit these. And this, for example, can be inserted into a registration flow if we want to encourage the user to set it up before checking out. And what else? Right. So I wanted to show that you can set up the Stripe dashboard, and then when you buy something, it gets logged as usual. And of course, if it was an active account, then it would be like a real payment where that's actually necessary. So as I mentioned, there's this other type of taxation. I actually have a recipe for it. Oh yeah, so we have a couple of helpful recipes in case you don't want to use the setup recipe for demonstrating this stuff. In fact, this is not enabled by default, so you have to edit here. And then you will have like a list of tax rates, and this is so this uses regular expressions. So if you want something more complicated than like based on the postal code, for example, in Hungary, postal codes looking like this. So like you would say this to say that basically postal codes up to from 1000 to 2000, that's for the capital, and postal codes looking like this, and above that would be for the countryside. So you could make something like that if that was necessary. But it's not necessary here in Hungary though. Oh. And for example, now if I go back here to check out, so now it offers me the same. But if I go to the checkout and change my address to, what was it, United States, then it updated because this uses asynchronous query to recalculate the total, and then it will check out that price. Oh yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to show, that you have this region menu. So if you don't want all of these shown up because you only ship to a handful of countries, for example, only want to ship to Hungary because local prices or whatever, then of course it reloads the tenant. That's why it emptied the cart. But now there's no other option. And yeah, I think these are the basic features. It's worth mentioning that all of the stuff like the taxes, the promotions, and the inventory, these are all using provider schemes. So you can add a custom ones, like I have shown with the tax provider. So for example, if we want to add the support for an external tax provider like Avatax, then you would just add a new feature, enable it, and then it would get priority. Or if we want a different kind of promotion, for example, just today, a user on the GitHub suggested that we should have like global rules for the promotion, and in that case, it would be possible to add a different tax provider. Discount provider, promotion provider, promotion provider. And these providers have an order and checks if it's applicable, and then updates the cart or whatever we want to update. So it's pretty future-proof for additional features and stuff like that.
Thank you. Questions?
Why
Anyone?
do you prefix all these features with orchard core commas? I mean, Shouldn't it be commerce or e-commerce dash content fields? Just curious.
Good question.
In the UI, I think you mean.
Yeah. Well, the feature name.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then another
it's
thing.
just because it's like a separate project and
No,
that's the project
that's
name.
not the
so-
reason. Yeah, but still,
Yeah.
in the UI, you don't have to like, yes, you know, it's in Orchard Core, like it's not Node.js or Django or Ruby on Rails or Drupal or WordPress. You are in Orchard Core. Like
It's
on the left,
redundant.
you don't see Orchard Core configuration, Orchard Core workflow, Orchard Core security, Orchard Core search. It's Orchard Core. So yeah, in the module name, for sure. In the namespaces, sure. But in the UI, it's people know, or they don't have to know. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's
I didn't
actually
notice that.
completely
Yeah.
reasonable, and I agree.
Do a Control F here. Do a Control F on
Yeah,
your.
yeah.
If you do Control F and you type Orchard space core, you will see that it's everywhere.
Yeah. It's redundant,
Control,
that's all.
Control F, Control F.
Yeah.
CTRL
I'll make a
plus
note of
F.
it.
Everywhere. In the descriptions, in the tags, in the titles. I didn't notice it, but now you mentioned that, Mike. I'm like, yeah, it's everywhere. It's crazy.
Yeah. Another thing I just also noticed, the Orchard Core e-commerce core, it sounds like just provide services. And if it provides services, you shouldn't allow it to be disabled, enabled manually. We have a new flag called enabled by dependency only. You might want to set that to true. And if you do, that feature will automatically get enabled by other features only when needed, and it will be disabled when it's not needed. This way, you don't register extra services if you don't have to.
And it won't show up in the list.
It will show up actually,
It
but
will.
you just can't.
What?
Yeah, you can't enable
What?
it or disable it though.
I'm not even sure.
Well, I think we followed the same logic as always enabled, because always enabled also shows up.
Okay.
So it doesn't make sense to hide them if we're showing all enabled. So or always enabled. So it's either we hide everything that you can't control, or we show everything.
Again, one of these cases where we want to be consistent, even if it's wrong. But that's better than being wrong and right. At least we are all wrong. That's better.
Well, true. Yeah. Maybe we should also have a filter that allow you to filter. By default, we hide
Show
them.
me. Yeah.
Show me stuff that I can't control.
So many things to do.
But
more important.
Yeah, another question. Why is all the UI, so all the settings are all over the place? I mean, shouldn't you put an e-commerce settings where everything goes in there and maybe you can group it by cards or by tabs?
All the settings are in this commerce drop down. So
well, yeah, but what I
oriented.
mean, like, shouldn't you put everything maybe in one tab so a user can actually click through in one page instead of having to go through many pages? Again, I don't know, but I'm just
some of these like you know,
maybe from different
post tenant reset, and anyways, some of these are pretty simple, but I imagine there would be some that may be more complicated, and if you have some feature, some of these that would require their own tabs, then that would not be possible that way.
Well, I mean, like currency region, that sounds like it should be in one to me anyway. I mean, I could be wrong. Regions, okay, maybe, I don't know, or the tax and the stripe, maybe, okay, you can put those separate, but anyway, I don't know. I'm asking
is that possible if they are in separate modules?
Yes.
Yeah,
cool.
Just use the same group ID.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, if you use the same group ID, then you should be able to, and then you can even group them within the group by cards or by tabs or whatever real easily. And then another thing, why the custom taxes? All the inputs don't seem to have the default style for some reason. Again, it's just simple UI stuff.
Well,
maybe just you can.
This is just a table. What do you mean?
No, I mean, like, look at the inputs. They don't have like the form control class. Yeah, it's simple, but it's just not consistent. Again, I'm picking on little stuff just to provide more feedback.
Where do we have a table? Oh, yeah. You are using a component that is not something that, oh boy, it's like a 10 years old component. Look at the culture selection. We used the same component.
Yeah, correct.
Because it
Yeah, I
has
mean,
up and down and it has the table view. So where is the culture selection? Like,
I mean, here
settings?
I would expect that you would have, similar
Yeah.
UI to what we have, where you can add, outside of a table.
Can you add the culture?
But
Oh, we can't order them. So
you
maybe
can't
you pick
order
this
those.
component. Yeah, okay, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, you took this component and that's not a nice one. Okay, interesting. But we have one where we can reorder items and that's weird. Drag and dropping, not by clicking up, down. That's, you did
I
that
don't
like in the
remember any
1980s.
that's in the admin side, so
Oh,
I
we
just
have.
put together something quickly on the
Okay, well, it can be
view.
improved later. That's fine.
And then in the taxes, I mean, maybe that tax feature is very nice, but you shouldn't make it depend on e-commerce. Maybe I want to use it for other stuff. So I noticed in the features, it's called e-commerce. I don't know if there's dependency for e-commerce for that taxation, but it might be nice to actually abstract that model away or the
And
module
have a
away.
service, a tax service that you can provide
It uses
allocations.
the prices from this module, so it seems fairly integrated to me. But we plan to like reorganize the modules anyway, because it's right now a bit too centralized. So it's something to consider for sure.
And one other thing in the front end, when you were checking out, what was that route? Was it /checkout? Yeah, /checkout.
Yeah.
Maybe that's also not a good route. Maybe somebody else want to use checkout. I don't know. Maybe you should put e-commerce /checkout. Again, I don't know. I think, or store or something, right? Store /checkout, but not directly checkout, because somebody else could be using it. It's just so common.
But what else would you use it if not
Store
for
slash
your
list.
store module?
Yeah, store /checkout. So you're checking out through the e-commerce store.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just that like first level words like this, you might have more conflicts that if you use a subsection and the verb.
And one more question I did have, when you went to the item itself, when you went to the editing the item, editing the product, I thought I saw something like a gross amount and then
Yes.
what was it? Gross amount, and then there is a price. So what's the difference between gross price and price?
Well, that's the net price. It says base price, but that's the net price. That's the price without tax.
I mean, usually, based on my experience, taxes is only a checkout thing. It has nothing to do with the product. So I don't know why would you want to put gross, price is a price, right? And then during a checkout, that price, you can add to it taxation. So I think something is awkward here to me for some reason. So it should be price without.
Mike, the States, that's the only country maybe that has taxes out of the price. If you go in Hungary and you see a price, the tax is in the price. You don't see it, plus taxes. When you see $100, there is a tax inside. So in the States, when you see $100, then when you fill up the form, then it tells you, hey, by the way, we'll add 10% of taxes because we are based in California, for instance. And that's different. So maybe yeah.
So over there, they basically, the final price is what they list.
There. When you say over there, it's like it's like everywhere, not in
at least the whole
okay.
EU.
In the entire world except the US, do you put a final price and that's including everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Like
that's
salary,
that's fine.
Even the salary of the servers. No, when you go to a restaurant, it tells you will have to pay $50, and we pay, and the restaurant pays the waiters. You don't have then to tip the waiters to their work. Like that's how it works in this location. in Hungary,
Sure.
everywhere.
Does that mean it doesn't work for the US, or is there a way to get rid of gross
That's
price and
crazy.
apply
Yeah,
the tax
that's interesting.
after?
That's
Well,
interesting.
You would just not fill it out, uncheck it, leave it like that, because this is only for like this is only for the simple taxes when you want to only have local. You only ship to one tax region, because we actually have a client in the EU who only ship locally, because the goods they sell aren't applicable elsewhere. So that's all they need. But if you
need to change
otherwise, you just leave this empty and use the other feature and set the taxes by state, for example, or whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of have to think about this if you want, obviously, to have a wider solution, is maybe have a settings, whether to include the taxes in the price or not, maybe. And then, for cases like, it could be, you could have multiple taxes, right? If you go to Canada, they have more than one tax. So some places in Canada have 2 or 3 taxes on each transaction. So I don't know if defining that here at the product level makes any sense. Maybe you should define that somewhere where it can be applied. Maybe here, just because you have a global settings or a configuration that say, hey, in Hungary we charge 20% tax, so you put the base price, and then the final price will be $10 plus 20%, and maybe that's how. I just don't know. I'm just trying to think of, like, does it even make sense to put a price rate per product? I don't know if it does, because usually you tax on bulk, maybe on a group of product, maybe on the entire thing, right? So that's usually how tax work. It's not per product.
Tax groups, and then you define tax groups. If you have 1, fine. If you have 0, fine. If you have 10, fine. But you select the group in your product. You don't select the tax rate.
Right.
Like food versus
correct.
Because they have
like in
different
the
tax
US,
rates.
we don't tax food. Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in every country, I'm sure they have different taxations. Or like, when you go to restaurant in some countries, it's to go and local. You have also different tax rates. So you need groups. Then you need rules to define the tax, and multiple rules, such that you can say, when you display the price, you can include or not, based on whatever you want, the tax. And then when you're in checkout, you have a different rules. We can say, here I need to show different taxes, because you know the location of the customer or not, like for the US. If you have these two, you support everything. You just blank the thing on the checkout for Europe, and you just blank the UI on the front end for taxes, but not in the checkout. It's just a list of rules for taxes, and the list of taxes.
I mean, taxes are really it's very big, because it's so different. So it has to be very flexible, and that's why I suggested it does, and that's why I suggest if you are actually going through that route, maybe you should make a tax module that is completely different than e-commerce, because it could be used for many reasons.
And in my notes, when I was about to ask the questions, I mentioned that modules, taxes should be services, because you want to be able to share these rules across different apps, or you might want to import the Hungarian taxes rules, and you want to import the US taxes rules, because you don't sell in Hungary, but you just sell in the US. But David just sells in Hungary and doesn't sell in the US, so you want to reuse these rules. So when I see the regular expressions in the tax settings, I'm like, fine, but these regular expressions, they should be common to everyone. So these should be reusable modules, and not just regular expressions, like logic. Like, it's the 1st of January and you are in Nebraska, so you pay these taxes. Not like regex on whatever. It doesn't work like this. It's much more complicated. So at least I would like to see JavaScript instead of regular expressions, because you can do regular expression in JavaScript if you want, but you can also do logic with time and location and your mood, or like, let's try not to pay taxes today, whatever you want. And second, make it modular and extensible, such that you can share the rules So it can come from modules and C# code. And then on top of that, if you want to add JavaScript, you can, but you can share these rules.
But do you think that someone would go ahead and start coding tax law in JavaScript? Because
well,
to be
do you
honest,
think
that's
someone
a
will
bit,
start coding
that's a
tax
bit
rules in
unrealistic
regular
to me.
expressions?
Yeah,
Well,
I added
no.
regular expressions just, to be a bit more flexible, but really the point of this
Exactly.
table is to be really simple, because it's like, I really only want to ship to a couple regions, and
Good.
it's simple. But if I want something more complicated or more flexible, or something where it's I don't want to take responsibility for it, then I go to an external tax service, and that's something that we plan to support eventually.
Can you type regular expression somewhere here in this UI? Where do you type the regular expression? Type it. Type one, a stupid one.
Yeah, sure. Like this, you can do it actually. It's like this.
Do you think it's simple?
What happened?
It's okay, we can see. Do you think it's simple? I just want a yes or no.
It's simple for me because I like regex.
Thank you. Yes. Can you go at the beginning of the text box and add a slash, and go at the end of the text box and add a slash again? On the same text box, the post slash, just a slash, not backslash, slash.
Slash, like
slash.
this?
Yes, this one. And at the end also, that's a regular expression in JavaScript. That's the JavaScript text box. That's not much more complicated, right? But now you can do if and else and stuff. And you have flexibility. So whenever you said, all the arguments you said about regular expression, I will say the same and replace regular expression with JavaScript. Then, even better, what I suggested is, no, it's a module in C# that you can reuse. So you can select Hungarian taxes law, and then you don't even have to type these regular expressions for postal code and everywhere. It's just optionally you can type JavaScript, which is much more flexible than regular expression, which is as complex as JavaScript, if not more. And you can still do regular expression if it's simple enough for you in JavaScript, just by adding a slash. So I don't get your point. But that's tax. So it should be a more extensible. Right now it's fine for you. That's okay. But I think it should be more extensible. Just because it can be complex, so make it extensible and use the simple case like today. But yeah.
For me, just another comment. I don't know if it's helpful. I once had to create a module for taxes myself, okay, but for only US and Canada. And the way how I did it is by creating a tax type. So each type has a different algorithm behind it. So you can say like a state tax or whatever, or city tax or locality tax, because there could be different kind of taxes. And then you can have multiple taxes. And during checkout or during computing the final price, then you can basically say, call all the tax providers saying, hey, calculate tax, and then you'll be able to come back with the total taxation broken down by a group, right? Because each
that's
tax
what he's doing here. Yeah, that's what he's doing here. That's why you have the order, because each line is like a rule. And if it applies the filter with an S, then it will send a tax rate. But I agree with Mike and David here. It's just a set of rules. Just we didn't see it was a set of rules. But this rule should be C# and ordered. And the last one could be a JavaScript one if you want. But each one should be like add new, and you select the type of rule you want, like add new Hungarian taxes rule, add new Canadian taxes rule, add new whatever, and add new JavaScript custom rule. And in the end, you process everything. And in the end, you have, this is a tax rate for this case, for this product, in the checkout, in the front end. But all these things, they are just inputs. And the logic will take into account front end, checkout, Hungary, Canada. Here is a tax rate. Or food, clothes, here is a tax rate. And then you call it with an API from the front end or from wherever you want, all the time you want. On server side, when you render the thing, on the front end, when someone selects a product, it's just the tax module with an API and rules that you can reuse. I think that will solve all the issues. Without knowing all the details of the taxes, that will solve the technical part of the thing.
Right.
So it's not an add row, it's like add logic, add rule, add tax rule, and then you can pick up all the things. And then you have export, import for state and everything. But yeah, that's something we do a lot in Orchard everywhere, right? Add dynamic stuff like activities, like steps, like, yeah.
If
Good.
it's helpful, I can just show you, well, not now, but I can send you screenshots of previous stuff that I have done with taxation. I don't think it's perfect, but
I have an even better
at
idea.
least.
We should look at the best e-commerce stuff, like, or the most used, like Shopify. What do they do? How do you configure taxes in Shopify? That would be interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting too, yeah.
And if they use Liquid, that's probably right. They made Liquid, so maybe, yeah, because they don't have a JavaScript. Yeah, they are also done in JavaScript, whatever.
And you might want a tax effective rate too, because sometimes, you know, it doesn't start until like, you know, doesn't kick in until 1/1/24, right?
That's why I'm saying it should be a module with C# because this way you can have this logic and import the thing called American taxes, and it will apply whatever it does, and its version, so you can update it, and that's great. And maybe there is already a standard for that, like C# code that you can reuse and update the NuGet package. And it, like, I mean, for sure, right? Like if it doesn't exist, somebody has. So obvious. Do you have an example site using that? Because you're not doing it for fun. When do we see the website that you use this e-commerce module for? David.
I will.
But you can say you can't show it. What do you say?
Yeah, I will consult with internally about that because, well, obviously we have a client. Not sure if I can talk about it yet.
Then don't. That's my question.
Yeah,
if
that's why I said.
Then later, when it's public,
I will say something later.
It's okay. Thank you. I just wanted, because I already asked the question last time, and I know that you could not talk about it because you're building it. So, and maybe now it's 1.0, maybe it's closed, so it's closer now. But yeah. Or maybe I will see it on Twitter before. Yeah, but that's great. That's great. Cool. Thank you. Do you have, or will you have you thought about having dashboard widgets, like for instance, Stripe widgets on the dashboard on the home page of the admin, such that when someone goes there, they can see like the latest orders or the stock of products or like the stock that is low and stuff like that?
I don't know anything about that.
Oh,
but
you don't do that?
Interesting.
I share a link then later.
Yes, please. Thanks.
With an example of companies doing that in their dashboard. Do you have time field? The time field in the content item. I want it to die when I saw that. Can you show us the time field in the product? Like what was that?
Yeah.
When you edit a product.
This
For
one.
me, yes. So what is that thing?
Yeah, it's built-in. I mean, it's
that's HTML5.
Yeah, it's just
okay.
Date
so
time.
This is the standard date time field of Orchard?
It is, I believe, yes.
Thank you. Then second question, why did you write UTC in the label? Because if it's the standard date time field, this is not UTC, this is local time.
Correct.
Yes,
I
see.
It's local time, and yes, it's stored as UTC, but Orchard does it for you. It converts the local to UTC and converts UTC to local. So don't say UTC in the UI. It's just a technical implementation detail. And what you are seeing is not UTC. It's your local time.
So it's just about the title.
Yes, in this case, yes. I was worried about the full thing that you made, but no, you just made the title. So that's good. That's just the title you need to change. It's like beginning, expiration, and that's it. Not UTC.
Right.
You can mention local if you want, or the local time zone if you want, but don't write UTC. Write what is the time zone of the user that they're seeing that right now. Just in case, because that's important, right? Like,
Yeah.
promotion goes
It's
on
misleading. I
like,
agree.
for us, it's like 7-8 hours. For you, it's like 2 hours early or something like that. So that's important. Yeah, that's it. That was all my question. I will try to find a screenshot of the dashboard example I have. I know where it is. I will show you. Found it, so I should be able to copy the link. Try to open that. So I will share in the chat. Oh, I can share my screen then. I will share my screen then. If I can find Teams, share screen. This one. I will zoom. It's not the best quality, right? But so this is the company making some tools for user tracking, bot tracking, issue tracking. And this is the admin menu for Orchard on the backend. Okay, you can recognize some things. And the dashboard is a feature that you enable that will replace the home page of the backend with widgets. And you can, in your modules, you create custom widgets that people can add on their dashboard. So my question was, maybe you should also provide widgets that will display the list of products and their orders or the stock, like limited stock or the whatever, you see, gross income for the last month or whatever you want. That would be super interesting, I believe. Or Stripe integration, because if you have a Stripe module, then you could also, some things that are in the Stripe dashboard, you could import them as a widget here to show it there instead of having to go to the Stripe dashboard. Just some ideas for the dashboard. If you have questions, ask Antoine. We made the dashboard module. Okay, that last topics 1.6. You just wanted to say, Mike, we need to ship. I agree.
Yeah, I think we just need to ship. I don't know when.
Let's ship. We look at the blocking 1.6 tag on Thursday and then decide to ship. Start the shipping process.
Sounds good.
Harvest, Victoria. Sorry, Vicky.
Yeah.
David, what is your little name in there? David?
Sorry, my what?
Because Zoltan, you call them Zoli.
Yeah.
Victoria, you call her Vicky, and Gabor, you call them Gobi.
No, David doesn't have one, unfortunately.
Oh,
Davey.
yeah, that's right.
No, Davey.
What he said. Okay, so Victoria, what's up?
A quick update about the orchard harvest. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So the first one is that I got one offer from Mike from Las Vegas, and I'm waiting for another one from him, and I started to check the prices about the Golden Nugget casino. And I also received the budget from the previous harvest from Sebastian. So I will compare with that one as well. And I wanted to ask Nate, because I see that you are here now, that you offered that you can check if you can help us to organize it in Chicago. Did you manage to ask Matt?
Yeah, so Nate, the idea is that if you can help organizing Orchard Harvest conference, then contact Victoria and see what you can do. And because well, Chicago is not pronounced Chicago. Okay, it's very hard in the States. Well, oh God.
Okay.
like every city for me, like I'm French, so you have to learn how to pronounce every city because they have very weird. Las Vegas is easy, right? But Chicago is not Chicago with a T. Like, like they will like emphasize on the K or the go, like Chicago. How do you say that, Mike or Nate? Help us.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Nate.
It's pronounced Chicago.
You say
Oh,
Chicago.
okay. Okay.
It's actually a Native American, like indigenous name.
So and if you say it wrong, people will never understand what you're talking about. Like, what are you saying? Like the city? No, I don't know a Chicago city. What is that?
Okay.
Chicago. Chicago.
Yeah.
It makes me smile, but that's how it's right.
But yes, I'll definitely talk to him again. When I did reach out to him, he said he would be talking to you guys about it. I think some things just came up for him, so I'll reach out to him again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. But I'm also waiting for Oliver. That he said that he can reach out to some friends in Germany, but for me it seems that even if you said that it would be better to have it in the EU, because last time it was in the US.
Yeah, but go with the easiest, not the like go with the
Yes.
easiest. Because
Yes,
if
so
people help you, take the help. Don't wait for
Yes.
more things or better, because
Yeah, and Mike helped me a lot already, so I think it seems. And
that's
also
weird.
I
That's weird. I would not
Really?
expect that. Yeah. Well, if you know Mike, you know that I'm not sure he's reliable.
Yeah.
So that's great. Good for you.
So it seems that, yeah, and I also really would like to finalize the place, because you know the most that it's the first step, and there is a lot other things to be organized. So that's it. And I saw that Mike, you got two dates, one in May and one in June. I would
What are
still
these?
go with,
Right.
you know, he asked for a price quote, and they sent 2 dates. One is between the 15th and the 18th of May, and one is at the 16th and 26th, and between the 26th and the 29th of June. But I would still go with the first opportunity.
So here's the thought process, so you understand what I did. I actually went by when the weather in Las Vegas will be the absolute best, but also I went by the cheapest hotel rooms. Based on my understanding from the hotels, those are the times where actually there's a lot less traffic in Las Vegas. So the room rate is much cheaper. So whoever is coming in here will pay less money to stay. So that's where we don't have to stick with any of them, but those are the reasoning for those dates.
Yeah, yeah, but I also checked that is it like 40? Sorry for
Las
my
Vegas is
notes.
always warm.
Yeah, so did I check it right that it's like 40 degrees in June?
Celsius, which would mean like 95, 100 almost.
Yeah,
Vegas. Yes. Yeah, so
the weather in
really
May
good.
and
It's
June.
like really hot.
But
No, it's actually not hot. It's June and May in Las Vegas is excellent. But it might sound, the numbers might sound high, but because of no humidity, will make it feel very, very good.
Dude, I live in Seattle. So I don't care about like 120. I go every day, right? Because it's cold and wet here. So stop complaining, Victoria, and go to Las Vegas. And you don't care because there is air conditioning everywhere. And when you go outside at night, it's almost cold. You need a jacket because it's desert. So in the night it's getting cold. In the morning also.
Yeah.
So that's not
So
an
what-
issue. That's a good thing. Nate, Chicago, same thing, right? Same issues.
Yeah, the summer's really nice out here. It's definitely like a really nice time to be out here during that time. There's a lot of stuff to do, a lot of like stuff you could do on the lake and stuff like that. What time you guys are looking sometime around the summer to do that?
Not close to the vacations because people won't go to a conference during vacation time. So like 26, 29 of June, no way. Like for me, for instance, I won't be there. I will be in France.
Okay.
So, but that's just my example, but I'm sure lots of people, same thing. May for me is perfect because I can take some days off.
Yeah, I agree, and I would also go with May because of the vacation times. So I would prefer it before the summer. Because of this, not because of the hot weather. I also like hot weather. So
Okay, sounds good. And yeah, the only thing I guess you really have to worry about in the US around May is the end of May, which is Memorial Day weekend. That's a pretty busy weekend.
This is the 30th of May, and this one was always taken for myself. That's a good point because nobody will come like on the 30th of May because there's a 3 days weekend in the States and everyone goes away. So
yep.
But this is fine in this case, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Thanks,
Thank you again. And just one thing that I, as you suggested last week, on the GitHub I will use only one post,
I
and
saw that. It's great.
I will update everything under.
That would be perfect.
Because as you said, it's not easy
to
follow. If
I will subscribe. You see, everyone should just subscribe to discussion. If you don't subscribe to all discussions, at least this one, just to follow. Yeah, because I missed that. Awesome, thank you. And I sent you the budget. You will see the numbers.
Thank you very much.
Are not crazy numbers, and I will check on my side if we can get them. You will see there was a positive balance for the last one, but this balance. So the previous one was reused for the last one. But the balance from the last one is in the .NET Foundation bank account. So I hope we can use that, okay? Because there is, yes, it's our money, but at the same time, there has been like many people owning .NET Foundation in the last 5 years. So I will ping them again because I've done it twice for two different directors and I haven't had an answer. So I'm a little worried at the same time. It's not a lot of money, but for the conference, that would be great to have that.
Yeah. So, yes, I agree.
Publicly, it's like $3,000, $3,000 around that we got left from the last event that I'd like to be able to reuse for this event now. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks, Mike, for the help, and Nate also for looking into that. I think we are good and on time. Thanks, everyone. See you on Thursday and next week.